Cybersecurity LLC. Myself and my partner, Mitch Tanenbaum, will be presenting to you today on this particular subject about how accounting professionals can turn cybersecurity from basically a liability into a professional edge. First, I'm going to introduce my partner, Mitch Tanenbaum. There's two of us that run this company. He is an extraordinary individual, an extraordinary IT talent. Mitch, are you there?
I am. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I'd like to add, if you have any questions during the seminar, click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and submit them, and we'll try to address them during the webinar.
Very good. Thanks, Mitch. You can go to our website, cybersecurity.com, and you can see Mitch and my bios and get an idea of who we are. We won't go into that today. We've got a lot of turf to cover. There's my contact information. And basically, I'll be driving the conversation today, driving the webinar, and Mitch will be supporting me with various information and whatnot. And there is no question you can ask, by the way, that he cannot answer. He is that strong in this subject matter. But then why me for the presentation? Well, actually, I've been teaching a course with this outfit in Denver called CPE for You. And it's Cybersecurity for Accountants, Part 1 and 2, 2 half-day courses. Last one was on August 21, 22nd of last year. We're scheduling the January course and then also the summer course as well right now. And these courses go into great depth about meeting the requirements for the IRS publications 4557 and other publications. By the way, no technical knowledge is required for either today's event or if you happen to want to go into much more detail with CPE for You and you go to their website for those courses, you just have to be there, basically. And we're going to cover what IRS is expecting of you as an accounting professional today. We're not going to go into great depth, but certainly going to give you a good look at that IRS publication 4557, which I cover in great depth in that other course. And it was the teaching of that course that introduced both Mitch and me to the need to share this information with accounting professionals around the country, because not only are we having a big cyber threat in the country, but IRS is now expecting accounting professionals to have good cybersecurity practices, and we'll talk about that. But let's start at the bottom line. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to give you the picture that a couple of cybersecurity professionals have assembled on what is going on here. First of all, some questions. Is there really a cyber threat to the country? Is there a threat to our national security? I mean, really? Is there a cyber war going on? I mean, if yes, I mean, who are the combatants? Where or what are the casualties? And what might an attack look like? Well, I'm ex-military myself, ex-Air Force, and I was a military pilot. And I am very sorry to report to you at this time that based on our knowledge as cybersecurity professionals, and we're pretty plugged in to the cybersecurity scene nationally at a state level and whatnot, the Chinese have stolen all of our major weapon systems. Now, that's a pretty profound statement. And for me, just like, blows my mind that I'm saying this publicly right now. However, do your own research. I'm showing you some pictures of some of the weapon systems. Those are our top weapon systems right there that you're looking at right there. And they've got them, okay? And so at a national level, between nation states, we have lost vast amounts of intellectual property. And we're losing it also at our level on the front lines of just businesses and whatnot as well. Now, this man right here, anyone know who that is? Well, probably you don't, but he's a patriot, I can tell you that. This guy is Dan Coates. He is the current director of national intelligence. I know a lot of people are concerned about national leadership right now, but I can tell you on all fronts, it's not bad. I mean, this man, Dan Coates, is a great man, and he works for our country. He did a speech at the Hudson Institute on July 13th, 2018, and he said, the red lights are blinking. Now, what he meant when he said the red lights are blinking was that back right before those guys drove those airplanes into the Twin Towers in New York, the Intelligence Committee was picking up all kinds of signals and the red lights were blinking. He was stating in this speech, which you can look up just by Googling his name and the Hudson Institute, you can read that speech. You can see what he said, which the red lights are blinking right now. They're seeing serious danger signals for our country right now. It's for real. Now, forget the Chinese, forget the North Koreans, the Russians, even the Israelis. Forget those nation states who are running cybersecurity armies and doing things that are not in our best interests. There is a billion-man opportunistic army in this world comprised of just people out there, regular people who don't have it as good as us and who have a computer and have some smarts, and they know that we are not protecting our intellectual property assets, we're not protecting our bank accounts, we're not protecting our businesses, and so they're coming over here and trying to get our money. We're seeing, because we're on the front lines, we're like the infantry. Now, this is some guys from Cyber Command. These are people in the military whose job is to protect infrastructure and whatnot. We're not part of that army. We're part of the civilian army like the rest of us are out there. And it's our job to protect the assets. The government and the military, they've got their hands full just protecting the national assets. And you can see they're not protecting our weapon systems. They're gone. Shockingly, they're gone. And so it's up to us to protect what we've got here too, and it's not impossible. I know it might be challenging and hard, but we're going to show you a route on this. We're part of this army out here, okay? We're part of this bunch, the people who've just got to be alert of this and doing our part in stopping the hemorrhaging of our national treasure that gives us our way of life in this country. And accountants, you play an important role. You're one of the pillars of our society, our professional society, accountants, lawyers, physicians, and others. You have a lot of important data, and we're talking directly to you today and desperately trying to get your attention on this and desperately trying to help you make this thing work. And for showing up today, all of you guys who are showing up, I and Mitch, we salute you. We salute you as fellow patriots for caring about this, paying attention to this, thinking about this, trying to do what you can do to make a difference. Good for you. Good for us that you're doing it. Okay, basic training starts right now, troopers.
Let me add one thing real quick, Ray.
Sure. At any time, Mitch, please kick in because you know how I roll on these things.
I do. So, one of the challenges is, if someone steals your car, you don't have it anymore. Go look out in the driveway, go look in the garage, there's nothing there. When someone steals a weapon system or somebody goes off and steals your information, you still have it. And it doesn't look any different before that attack than after that attack, assuming the attacker is moderately competent. So the fact that you still have your stuff, well, that's good. And it means, for example, you weren't the victim of a ransomware attack where they go off and encrypt your data and you can't get to it. It doesn't mean that your data wasn't compromised. It just means that you still have a copy of it also.
Correct. And an amazingly important point. Thanks for adding that. At any time, Mitch, kick in anytime. Okay, is the country protected? Is your business protected? Is your computer protected? I can pretty much tell you right now, no. I mean, that is basically our reality, but we've got to change that, and we change it one step at a time. Why aren't patriots more proactive in defending our data and infrastructure? Well, it's not like they're bad people. It's like, no short-term loss that they can see and feel. Mitch just said that. You can't tell that the data was taken from you. You can't tell. Security is inconvenient. That's the truth, man. It's inconvenient doing things that relate to security, and it costs some money, and it runs against human nature to change. That's the reasons for it. But okay, great. Those are the reasons. Does that make any difference? Does that mean we can't do it or we shouldn't do it? No, we got to do it. That's the reality. Okay, here are the three answers right here. What's the question? Like on Jeopardy. Okay, what's the question for this? Well, Mitch knows the question. Mitch, what's the question for these three answers?
I don't know.
Okay, Mitch, the question is, why do Ray and Mitch's customers come to them? Okay, why do they come to them? Because of one of three things. They've either had a breach, okay, they either have a customer, a big customer of theirs, demanding that they do something about their cybersecurity, before the customer will do business with them, such as, for example, an accountant's picking up a new customer, and the customer says, "What are you guys doing about cybersecurity over there?" And you go, "Well, not that much." And they go, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't give you my business because I've got to have someone protecting my data that I'm sharing with you." That's the second. And then the third thing is compliance, some law. We're going to show you some various laws that affect cybersecurity, affect your customers today. So one of these three things is usually driving our customers. It does happen when you have an enlightened business leader who knows they've got a cybersecurity problem or who suspects it, and who they come to us and say, "I want to get ahead of the power curve on this." That does happen, but it's rare. It's usually they're driven by an external force, one of these three external forces. That's what those answers are for right there. So compliance and the accounting profession. Let's zero in on your particular situation. Okay, what external cybersecurity rules and regulations apply to the accounting profession? What are the legal, ethical, and moral responsibilities of the accounting profession? See how I've broken this down here. So here's the laws that are affecting you. Well, you've got Graham-Leach-Bliley. That's been around for a while. You got the Federal Trade Commission Financial Privacy and Safeguard Rules, the new Colorado law, Colorado Protections for Consumer Privacy Law. Now I know there's people attending this today that don't live in Colorado. No problem. Colorado has a law, California has a law, Massachusetts has a law, New York has a law, other states have laws. Colorado is got a brand new law that was passed by 100% of the legislature, and so there's a law. You've got the New York and the California that I mentioned here, and then for accountants, you have IRS publications 4524, 4557, and 1345. Now we're not going to go into 4524 and 1345. Today we're going to focus on 4557 because that's really the guts of it. And then there's more. There's the basic ethical requirements and whatnot. Mitch, what would you like to add to this conversation?
Well, one of the challenges you have in the state-based protections is that the state laws cover where your customers are located, not where you're located. So, for example, if you have customers in Colorado, the Colorado law applies, and the Colorado Attorney General reserves the right to come after you if Colorado consumers are harmed. Same thing with California consumers. New York DFS regulation specifically is designed for people who are licensed in New York. But for the most part, every single state, not for the most part, actually all 50 states and several of the territories, all have privacy laws that are designed to protect their consumers. One of the challenges that you have is that if you have a breach, you're required to notify the people that you're required to notify. Like, for example, if you have a client in New York, there's 4 different entities, including the state police, that you have to notify in case of a breach. So it's a challenge in terms of complying with all these state laws. And, the better solution is to avoid having a breach in the first place.
Right. And Mitch, what about GDPR in the accounting profession? I know we don't target our marketing to the big 4. We figure, they're dealing with it. But, we've got quite a few people on our email list for accounting firms that are goodly sized accounting firms and could have international clients. How does GDPR affect them?
Well, certainly GDPR is, and we talk about GDPR, but the other side of GDPR is the California Consumer Privacy Act, which goes into effect on January 1st of 2020, which is really a mirror of GDPR. And we are now seeing rumblings at the federal level of a GDPR-like regulation nationally. So the General Data Protection Regulation, which exists in the European Union, is designed to protect residents of the EU, gives consumers a lot of protections, as does the California Consumer Privacy Act, including things like the right to a copy of any data that you have, a right to be forgotten, a right to correction. and on and on and on. So those regulations have a major impact. They also have a requirement that says that you can only use the data for purposes which you have told people you're going to use it for. So if you told people you're going to use their data to go complete their tax returns or financial planning, for example, and then you decide to use that for marketing, well, that's a different purpose, and that's actually a violation of both CCPA and GDPR.
So there are various laws above and beyond an accountant's ethical responsibility to protect the information they've been entrusted with. And you guys have a lot of information you've been entrusted. Beyond that, there's laws applying to you right now. It is now in Colorado, it is now illegal for you to send private information of clients via email to them. You can receive it, obviously, if you've gotten it, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more as we get into this. But you know, things are changing out there, and changing pretty fast. Oops, let me get this clicked over here in the right place. Here we go. On the FTC, by the way, a couple more facts. Financial institutions as defined by the FTC include professional tax preparers, data processors, their affiliates, and service providers who are significantly engaged in providing financial products and services. Okay, that's you. Colorado law, that applies to anyone whose customers are in Colorado. And then the IRS publications, of course, that's back again to you guys. Okay. Yeah, I wonder out there, and feel free, by the way, to ask questions via your Zoom question capability there. Clients, business and personal, are building cybersecurity requirements into engagement agreements. We're starting to see that. It's starting to drive business for us, because accounting firms, you know, get these requirements, and then they figure, well, how do we meet this? How do we make it work? And folks, and they're being expected to use cybersecurity best practices. What does that mean? Cybersecurity. Well, strangely, and also like in the Colorado law says that you have to use what's the terminology in the Colorado law? It's not best practices, Mitch. It's
reasonable security consistent with the level of sensitivity of the information. So in your case, the level of sensitivity of the information is pretty high. You know, if you're running the corner candy store, it's probably less of a problem. But clearly, when you're talking about financial professionals, the level of sensitivity, you know, the bar, I think, is raised pretty high, and what would be considered reasonable would be best practices.
Well, we certainly know what best practices is. It's while cybersecurity is a big subject matter, true enough, it has been honed down by us practitioners, and we know what's involved for best practices, and it can be achieved, and we'll show you today, it can be achieved for not that much money if you use your head and practice and follow our guidelines. Okay, so there are 3 IRS publications that affect you. 4557 in the June 2018 that's the document. These are things that are available to you guys, and you may already have copies of it. 345 and 4524. We're going to focus on 4557 today. I'm not going to go in great depth, but I'm going to show you the major subject areas that it addresses. So for 4557, here's the table of contents. It starts off, I'm going to drill down on the first 5 bullets. I'm going to drill down to the next level on this, but you've got the introduction, protecting your clients, protecting yourself. Protecting yourself is a big deal in that the more you protect yourself, the more you're going to protect your clients, obviously. Being on guard, assuming that you're under attack, okay? And you must assume this. And don't think that you're going to know about it. Like Mitch said, you know, they could come in and get your stuff and not even tell you about it. If you get a ransomware attack, well, you'll know about that. They're going to, you know, try to defraud you out of money in that case. But most of the time, the MO for an attacker is not to let you know that they're in there and to cover their tracks. And so if you do have a problem, how to report and respond, and then compliance with the FTC safeguard rules. So let's going back here. I said introduction. I'm going to drill down here. Let's take a look at what it says here. Now this goes into, and I'll show you, goes into much greater depth, but I want to hit these particular points here. Data security is now a necessity. This is what the IRS, this is what your overlord is telling you. Data security is now a necessity for every tax professional, whether a partner in a large firm or a sole practitioner, and every authorized IRS e-file provider. Every employee, both professional and administrative staff, should be educated about security threats and safeguards. Is there any escape clause in there? I'm not seeing anything. It looks like they're just making it pretty clear how they're thinking. Protecting taxpayer data is the law. You must create and enact a security plan. You must follow the 6 security and privacy standards and publication 1345. I mean, they're just telling you, you must. It's not optional. You must do it. Protecting taxpayer is good business. Absolutely. Absolutely on this. And consider engaging security professionals. Here we are. We're there for you right now. I put in here our client data protection policy. If you go to our website, cybersecurity.com, with security spelled with a C, as you notice, highly clever. You'll see up on our links at the top of the page, our nav bar, that we have this thing called a client data protection policy. Now we're in the business of collecting very sensitive data about your network, about your business, about the location of your intellectual property, et cetera, et cetera. So when you engage us, we're a critical vendor. And so we're telling people up front, when you come to our web, this is our policy about protecting our data, your data, in our system. And I will show you how we do that in a minute with a very simple tool, by the way, how we go about doing that. But there's the introduction. Oh, I said I'd show you. There it is. I'm showing you right now. Here is how we protect your data right here. So Mitch and I use this device. This is called an Apricorn hard drive. You can buy it. You can go to Apricorn. There's the name. You'll go to apricorn.com. You can buy this thing. If you were our client and I had your data, and all of any data that I have about you, any information that I have about you, any work that I have, everything related to your file is not on my computer. It is on this Apricorn hard drive. And this Apricorn hard drive plugs into my computer. That is the drive where I keep all of my sensitive files. That's what Mitch does as well. We each have a couple of these because we back these up in case one of them burns out or something. So, but the only way to get into that drive is a human being has to tap the code into it. You have to have the drive and you have to tap the code into it. But we have very, very sensitive data. How do we protect it? Very simply, using this device right here. Now, it doesn't work for everybody. Okay, this particular solution doesn't work for everybody. It works for individuals like us where it's just Mitch and I running the company and we have all the data. If you've got a company where you're sharing lots of files between lots of people and you have, well, then, this won't work for you. But there are simpler solutions, and it doesn't have to be this. Mitch, do you have anything to add to this conversation right here?
Yeah, let me add one more thing. As people move more and more data to the cloud, there's nothing in any of the regulations that says, I decided to put all my data in the cloud, and therefore I am absolved of responsibility for whatever the service provider does. I haven't read that in any of the regulations that Ray showed before. So the problem actually becomes a little bit more complicated when you are not in control of the computers where your data is stored. And, for example, if you're using one of the big cloud-based tax prep softwares, like CCH or one of those products, so you have an extra dimension to consider of what happens when I store my data in the cloud and I'm counting on a third-party provider. And we've seen a lot of breaches in the cloud, mostly because people haven't configured things correctly, and less so because there are technical problems with the cloud providers. But there's lots of options to configure things wrong, lots of opportunity to configure things wrong. And so it's important to understand what security features your cloud service provider offers and make sure that you're using them effectively.
Thank you. Okay, back to the IRS Public. The second item was protect your clients, protect yourself. Now, just high level again, because by the way, these IRS, we're cybersecurity guys. we have access to vast amounts of cybersecurity information and procedures. Mitch has a near photographic memory. So there's a lot of cybersecurity information. I was highly impressed when because of that course, that CPE for you, when I got into that to teach that course, highly impressed with the job that IRS did putting together this information. It is well organized. It covers the waterfront. It is presented with clarity and easy to use. You have excellent resources. IRS spent some money on this, doing it right. So I have no criticisms or critiques of what they're doing. I'm saying use it. Follow what they're doing. If you follow what they say, you're going to be in good shape. I salute the IRS on this. Back to the information. They say take basic security steps, use security software, create strong passwords, secure wireless networks, protect store. Well, there's a lot of detail. Obviously, the devil's in the details, right? So, and if you get into the program, if you go to that CPE for you course, we go into all those details. Being on guard, spotting data theft. What are your clues? Monitoring the EFINs, the PTINs, recognizing phishing scams, guard against phishing emails, be safe on the internet. Again, devil's in the details. Okay, what are the details? I'm giving you a drill down. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these with you today. We have a lot to cover, but I'm just going to show you the IRS in the information in that IRS publication 4557. They drill down. They tell you, they go down and tell you exactly what to be looking for. On the spotting the data clues on there, monitoring the EFINs and the PTINs. You see, they're getting into the details. This is, they tell you how to do it. They know that you don't know this stuff. They have figured it out. And so the information is there for you. And for you, if you're responsible for your practice, this is information you should be aware of. You might not manage all of this. You might not do it actually, but you want to know about it. You want to understand it so you can manage your staff and your IT support. You may have received an email from us as part of promotion for this webinar, how to fire your IT guy. There's some great tips on that. I sent you the tips on that. Save those tips. Start using that because you may indeed have to fire your IT guy, and you want to know how to do it. Being on guard. Here's some more. I'm not going to go through these again. We've got too much to cover, but I'm just trying to show you how good a job the IRS did for you on this. I mean, and it's, I think it's great. Here's another one of those slides. I'm not going to do it. Be on guard, be safe on the internet, blah, blah, blah. It's going through here. Great stuff. Report and respond. So let's just click on that. Report data loss to the IRS and the states. Respond and recover from a data loss. Did I show any detail on that? Yeah, I did. It goes and tells you what to do on this, who to call, who to contact in event of an event that you might have. And there's a note there. Note, reporting to IRS will not protect you from lawsuits or other regulatory actions, but you don't want to be afraid of reporting to the IRS. The IRS is not going to hang you out to dry on this thing. They want to bring you up to speed. They want to be your partner on this. They want to support you on this. The more that they know is going on out there about threats against tax professionals, the better they can respond. So they're going to work with you, and I want you to know that. And that same information goes if you have cybersecurity insurance, by the way, and you have a breach. We have clients that come to us who have purchased cybersecurity insurance, and they have a breach, they have a problem, and they're not calling their insurance company. They're concerned that the insurance they'll raise the rates. They're concerned that they'll lose their coverage. And we can tell you right now, no, that's not happening yet. That could happen later. It could happen later, and that does happen at times, but not happening yet. Why? Because not enough people are reporting breaches and reporting problems. They have enough money collected from their premiums that they can pay their claims. So as long as they can pay the claims, they're not being overwhelmed. They're not going to start falling back to looking at ways that people have violated policy provisions and whatnot. So you're in a good space right now. If you have a problem, reach out for the help that's available to you. More information in here about reporting and responding from a data loss and what to do. And again, they have got a lot of information. Notice down at the bottom, consult with your professional insurance provider about data theft protection. You want to use your insurance company. Insurance companies have, this is a new coverage. The insurance industry is an old industry. They have figured out actuarially what the odds are of you having a car crash, what the odds are of your house burning down, your roof getting hit by hail damage. They know this down to the micro penny. They don't know diddly squat about cybersecurity breaches at this point. They don't know anything. They're figuring this out. They're collecting the information. And the only way they can collect the information to correctly rate the risk on policies is to get information and communicate. So they are communicating. And right now, it is a buyer's market in cyber insurance. We could have a whole presentation on cyber insurance, and we will. We do presentations on it. Right now, to sum it up, now's the time to buy cyber insurance. You can get a policy with a lot of coverage for virtually no money at this point. That will change as time goes on. Complying with the FTCSafeguards Rule. Well, that's another aspect of your compliance, and I could drill down into this in greater depth, but we don't have enough time. Just making you aware of it right here, that's out there and part of the information available to you through your partner, the IRS, and they are indeed your partner with respect to this. Let's see here. Is there anything here that I need to know? This is just some information here. I don't need to get into that. They've got a checklist in there, a very good checklist that they've put together that can be very useful to you in this. And so they've done, again, an excellent job. Is any of this easy? Mitch, is this easy?
Relatively speaking, the answer is, and you're probably not expecting this, Ray, it is easy because most attacks, I mean, if the Chinese are out to go off and get you because you did something to offend them or whatever, then that's probably hard to go protect yourself against. But the vast majority, over 99% of the attacks, are what we call attacks of opportunity. They'll go out and send out 1 million or 10 million emails, literally, and they'll see who clicks on it. And if somebody clicks on it and they infect their computer, then they'll go off and try to go exploit what they got. But it's not like they're going out and saying, "Hey, that Ray guy, he's an accountant, he's a cybersecurity professional, and we're going to go off and try to grab Ray's information because we know what's there." They don't do that. This is just a spray type of attack, and they see what they drag in when they pull the net back in.
Well, you're right. I mean, and I've got a cross over the top of easy, indicating no, it's not easy. And in some respects, it's not easy, but in other respects, and we're going to show you here coming up that it's a lot easier than you think. Now, if you have questions out there, be sure to send them in. I've got a couple of questions that came in. Number one, first question, and they're related too. So number one, who enforces the new Colorado cybersecurity and privacy law? The answer to that question is the Colorado Attorney General enforces that law. And then the next question was right behind that is, how will the Colorado Attorney General enforce the new Colorado law? Okay, so the second person knew the answer to the question in the first one. But anyway, the way we attended an event, a month ago now, I guess, downtown, where the assistant Attorney General was down there, and they were part of this event telling us how the Colorado privacy and cybersecurity law was passed, because it had 100% support in the legislature. 100%, both sides of the aisle, 100%, amazing. So, but they were telling us, what the process was, how it had, and it was interesting. It was fascinating. So, with respect to enforcement, because that question was asked down there, they are going to be, they're looking for, obviously breaches, rather than just going out and trying to stir up trouble. They don't have the resources to do that. But when there's a breach, if there's a problem, then they start looking at that point. And if they can, and basically what she said was, if you have a problem and you have to report it, or it gets public, or something happens, and they look into it, if they come in and look in and they find out that you have not done diddly squat about your cybersecurity, that you have ignored it and had your head in the sand, you've got a problem. Okay, but if you can prove that you've been working on it, you can document, you're doing stuff about it, and we're going to show you how here very shortly. That's what they want to see. They know that you cannot protect against all attacks. They know this, but they don't want to have you sitting there just ignoring it and pretending like you're not hearing all the news that's on every night, and that you're not paying attention to what's going on nationally and statewide and everything else. They're not interested in that kind of activity. So the enforcement is done at that level. They're waiting till you have a problem and then coming in and taking a look at you at that point.
Let me add one more thing, Ray. We're seeing a change, a trend at the cybersecurity law area. So historically, what the way the laws have been written is the laws provide for the opportunity to do civil penalties. What we're seeing now is that, and this includes the Colorado law, and there's now a bill that's just been introduced in Congress nationally that is providing for criminal penalties against people who have not taken reasonable measures to go protect the information. So, if we go look at, I use as an example, the Wendy's breach a few years ago, and there's unfortunately for Wendy's, a video of the CFO saying in front of a conference, this cybersecurity stuff, if we have to give away a few free hamburgers due to fraud, whatever. And then of course they had, a breach of millions of credit cards. And they were basically saying they didn't want to spend any money on cybersecurity because they didn't think it was cost effective. Those are the kind of statements that can wind you up as a guest of the state in the nice hotel with the crossbars on it. So we're starting to see more states implement laws that provide for criminal penalties.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when I taught that course, as I'm teaching that course for CPE for you, the 2-day course on cybersecurity, one of my requirements for that course was to go over the IRS publications in depth, in detail. And then the other was to how to build a cost-effective security program for accountants and prepare for the inevitable breach. That was one of my missions. So how to do that. So I got into that program. Well, as a result of that, we built a program for accountants to do this. Now, let me see here if I can make this work right and not blow everything up. Okay, so far so good. Go over here. Okay, there we go. On our website, there's a page there. I gave you the URL. If you go to this URL, you'll see there's the Accountant Cybersecurity Certification Program, and it goes into great detail. I'm going to go through this in just a second to show you all the components and how it works and whatnot. This is a page that shows this particular program and what you get. It's got 15 components to it here, all the way down here. And the whole thing costs $7,850. You make in 2 payments. So it's obvious. It's not it's money. It's not a ton of money, and you get a full program. And I'm going to go into this program. Let me get it going here again, and get back up here from the current slide. Okay, so I did it. So the Accountant Cybersecurity Program has 15 major components to it, and whether you use ours or anything else, this is what you've got to cover. I'm going to go over through it, and you see here are the 15 components on this thing, and I'm going to break it down into pieces in just a second, so we don't have to read it off this sheet. But if you notice down here, items 13 and 14, this is support from us, hours of support, which are included in the price. And then also we certify your program. If you do all this stuff, we will certify you. We will put our name on your program. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Let me try this one more time. Let me show you without blowing things up. Blink. I go over to here. Blink. I go over here to our home page. Okay. I scroll down here. Okay. We have a certification. Naturally, we're great at cybersecurity. You click on this, Go to an I agree, I'm not going to sue cybersecurity. And then you go to, and you would have one of these on your website. Here you go to a page that shows any of your clients, anyone looking at you, what did you do to get that certification and what was the date? Okay, here is the certification requirements. We're at the platinum level. Our program has the gold level for you. Gold is plenty good. Don't sweat it. We're platinum because we're great. We have more requirements. It shows when we did it. It shows it. And we've certified. And our name's on this thing. There's our name. Okay? So that's what you get, and it goes on your website. So I wanted you to see what that was. Back here. Back over to here. All right. Back to where we were here. So let's go through what's involved in this thing. Okay. The first 5 items of the 15. You must have a cybersecurity network risk assessment. So we provide you. We provide you with a spreadsheet, ask you questions, you answer the questions, we come back, we ask some more questions. Mitch is an amazing risk assessment guy. We do risk assessments for multi-billion-dollar companies. But we don't have to. We can do it for smaller companies. It doesn't matter. But first, before we can fix anything, we got to know what's going on over there. We got to understand it and what you got. And we've got a great methodology for doing that. There's minimal brain damage for you in there. Second item is a written data security plan. We call it a DSP, data security plan. If you're going to have, you said the IRS told you had to have a data security plan. They said it when I was reading it to you a little while ago. You've got one here. We give you one where it tells you what you're going to do and how you're going to approach it. Now, we send you a data security plan management spreadsheet. Well, if you're going to have a data security program, you want everything related to it all in one central place that you can operate. We give you this. We've got it all figured out for you. And so you get this. You don't have to do it. You don't have to reinvent it. You just have to do it. But everything is there. We figured this thing out for you. So there you go. You've got a cybersecurity policy package of 10 policies. We give you 10 policies, but we first look at your company to see, well, exactly which policies do you need, by the way. And so we'll give you those 10 policies. You have to have an incident response program. Now, some people have to have a pretty complicated incident response program. Other people, your incident response program might be call Ray and Mitch. You know, it might, no, it'd be more than that. Unplug the computers from the internet, call Ray and Mitch. That might be your incident response program. Okay, it's a program, okay? And but you're going to have an incident response program. So that's the first 5 items. Mitch, anything you want to add to those first 5 items in the program?
No, well, yes, actually. I think, if you're a larger company, then these things scale up and they're more complicated. For smaller organizations, they scale down and they're less complicated, as Ray said. So I think you wind up with the basics of what's required here, and you have obviously a relationship with us so that when you have questions, you can reach out to us and ask those and get answers. But you've got the bones of a cybersecurity program, and that's what's required. That's
right. And this program is designed to work. Now, it won't work for a company with more than 50 employees or 80. You're going to need more than this program, depending on how big you are. But for most companies, this will work. Our smallest clients that we have are solo practitioners. One person operating out of their house, but yet they're working. Let's say they're a consultant for a healthcare firm. And they're a business associate for a healthcare firm, and the healthcare firm won't do any business with them unless they can prove that they have their cybersecurity ducks lined up. Okay, they need some help, and all the way up to multi-billion-dollar companies. And so, but you got to have a program that fits your situation and fits your capability to pay for it. Okay, here's the next 5 items: cybersecurity awareness training program. Okay. The biggest vulnerability any company has, small, big, medium, whatever, is your people. I mean, that's it. You have got to have well, you don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. As part of this program, you will be automatically enrolled in a professional security awareness training platform that includes unlimited phishing training for up to 25 staff. It's part of the price that you pay. There are 22 different companies out there that have built security awareness training platforms. We have reviewed all of these programs that are out there, and we have chosen a Cadillac and we have chosen a Chevy. The Cadillac's great if you just got to have all the bells and whistles. The Chevy works for 95% of our customers. The Chevy and works just fine, and it's half the price. This is the program that we include in this particular package so that you can send phishing simulated emails. You can do all kinds of really cool things, have great training. In addition to that, we provide you with some additional training. You get, first of all, you get access to Mitch Tanenbaum's Cyblog. Mitch is a nationally recognized cybersecurity expert, and he has his own blog. And it's great. It's all in English. You understand every bit of it. He does it methodically every week. He has great subject matter. You're enrolled in it immediately. Great resource of information. You get a ransomware training. One of our most popular training has been ransomware training, and you get our PowerPoint and you get the video training on that. It's great, highly entertaining. I do the training on that. I'm totally pumped up on training. You get it. And I'm really pumped up on this ransomware. It's really great. And it's good not only for you, but it's good for your family as well, by the way. A lot of this information is you're responsible for the next item, protect your family money training. These are tips that Mitch and I have picked up on that don't really have anything to do with building a cybersecurity program, but it's how to protect your money, because this billion-man opportunistic army I told you about earlier is after your money, okay? And so how do you protect your money? And we've got a bunch of we've got that training in there for you. It's good. And again, it's for your family, and it's also good for your clients. You can share it with your clients, help your clients out on this. None of it's technical. None of this stuff is technical, with the exception of technology enhancement and digital anonymity training, and that's not too technical. It does have some more, it's got some more stuff in there a little bit deeper, but this came from the FBI. The FBI started this. We went to an FBI seminar, and man, this was a great presentation. This was information they put together. We took that, we added a little bit more to it, and we've got that presentation in there. It's really good stuff. And then we do a training on the Colorado Protections for Consumer Privacy Law. This is the Colorado law. We've got a training. We give you the PowerPoint. We give you a video just like you're watching right now. And it trains you on this law, so you should know what it is. It's good for you. It's good for your clients. Great stuff. All of that is part of your cybersecurity training program. All of that is required for us to certify your business. Okay, then you've got number 7, small business encryption techniques and solutions. Mitch put this together. This is great. Encryption is always scary to people, okay? Now, we showed you one solution, that Apricorn. Plug that thing into your computer, put your data on that, it's encrypted, boom, done, okay. But sometimes it takes a little bit more than that. Well, if you're a Microsoft or a Mac user, Mitch put together some great information on that. Mitch, would you like to elucidate on that a little bit?
So, yeah, for both, for small organizations, encryption is relatively straightforward. We give you instructions, we give you links to articles and such for both Macs and PCs. And also, by the way, encrypting your mobile devices, your pads, your tablets, and your phones, equally important. We lose phones nationally at an incredible clip. Something like one phone every 3 minutes is mind-boggling. And if those phones are not protected, then fundamentally, and you've got sensitive information on the phone, then then you've got a potential breach situation. Certainly, if nothing else, you've got a privacy issue in the terms of you have your contacts, you have your emails, phone numbers, and stuff like that, and probably other things that you don't want publicly available. So we've given you techniques and tips for doing that, and it's relatively straightforward. As your organization gets larger, you have multiple locations, you have file servers, things like that, then things become a little bit more complicated. And then, as I said before, when you move into the cloud and you're now bringing third parties into it, one of the things you need to do is make sure that your vendors are meeting your expectations, and pick and choose vendors accordingly so that you're picking the vendors who have the right security awareness profile. I tout Amazon, for example, as having great security awareness credentials. They do a great job, but only if you configure it correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see, I mean, including this particular piece of information, the small business encryption techniques and solutions, which is written again in English, no technical skill sets required. We even have screenshots about how to deploy it and whatnot. I mean, we know what you need because we are dealing with helping businesses all the time roll out cybersecurity programs. And so we know where the pain points are. We know where the issues are. And so you're just taking the experience of a couple of old heads, older cybersecurity guys who know their stuff. We're taking and trying to make it usable for you and make it affordable for you. That is our goal here. Of course, we're running a business. Of course, we're trying to make a profit and all of that stuff. But we've got a country to protect, and we're just part of the infantry. We're just part of the front lines. You know, we've got the capability. And it's, by the way, our company is comprised of Mitch and myself. Okay, 2 people. And then we have subcontractors, Americans, vetted, background checks, the whole bit, people that we know who do penetration testing, forensics work, other work, legal work, and whatnot. We bring them in on an as required basis. That's why we're able to compete. We compete against Optiv and the big guys, but we don't have this big bench of people. But we have all that level of talent to bring in if required, but only if required. But 95% of the time, Mitch and I handle it. And by the way, on our website, check our testimonials. The other day, a guy asked me, and it was kind of insulting. He was insulting. He said he didn't believe the testimonials were true. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, they're all true. Every one of them are true. Some of them have their names on there, and you can just look those people up and go call them up. Other people, we don't put the name, but if you want to know who that, and if you're a legitimate client and you're trying to check us out and you want to know who that person is, and you want to I'll give you their name and their phone. Call them up. Check us out. We have people who love us, love the way we take care of their needs because we care about this. I mean, are you picking up out there that we might be passionate about cybersecurity? I hope so, because this is a for real deal for us. We are engaged in a cyber war. I am totally pissed off the Chinese have our F-35 fighter, and I don't want them to get any more of our stuff. And Ray, stop. Just relax. Okay. So anyway, small business. Number 8, cyber insurance policy primer checklist recommendations. Great piece of information right there. Because if you're going to buy cyber insurance, and I told you now's the time to go get it, well, you want to know how to go about and do that. And we can give you a recommendation we know if you need a broker, you need a cyber insurance broker who knows their stuff. Okay. And a lot of people are selling this stuff, but they don't know it. They don't know what they're doing. Well, we know some people who know it. We don't make any money off of it, but we want you to get the best people. Cybersecurity due diligence and company valuations. Hello. Okay, here's one for you, made up specially for you guys and gals out there, guys generically, highly supportive of women and women in business. By the way, attended an event last night in support of this. Anyway, if you're involved in helping a client buy or sell a company, cybersecurity due diligence is now part of the program. You come to me with a company that you're selling. If I'm representing a company, if I'm on the side of the buyer, and we're going to go to a company and we're going to buy a company, I'll guarantee you that I will knock that price down something fierce because their cybersecurity sucks. Okay. Now, but if you put me on the side, you put me and Mitch on the side of a company that's getting ready to sell a company, and you give us a few months to get their cybersecurity squared away, we will increase the valuation of that company based on the cybersecurity profile of that company, and we will defend that price based on our ability and the company's ability to protect its intellectual property and perform. Cybersecurity due diligence is part of that. We give you that information, important information. Number 10.
An example of that, by the way, was a recent Yahoo sale where Yahoo took a $350 million haircut because their cybersecurity sucked.
Yeah, and they're lucky they got away with that, frankly. We send you, if you don't already have them as part of this, but we send you these various IRS publications that we've been talking about so that you get them. Okay. Oh, here's one. Draft engagement letter language, protection of private information. This is for, because we've had accountants say, they wanted, in their engagement letters, how to communicate with their clients about, look, we're trying to do the right thing about cybersecurity, but in order to make this work, you've got to work with us. And if you're not going to work with us, if you're not going to use our encrypted communication means or whatever else we're putting in place here, well, you need to sign this form and say, no, I just want to send you this stuff via email, and I'm taking full responsibility for it. I mean, you got to have this nowadays. And so we give you a draft. If you want to change it, but we give you a place to start from on there. Open DNS. Now, here is an easy thing you can do. It's free or it's low cost. That's you can do it right away. And Mitch, would you explain a little bit about how this works, please?
So DNS stands for the Domain Name Service, and it's the thing on the internet that maps a website name like cybersecurity.com to a set of numbers like 123.45.67.89 that the internet understands. Now, the challenge is that your browser doesn't know a priori whether the site you're going to is malicious or not. However, this company, OpenDNS, which is now part of Cisco Systems, has built a product which filters that traffic. And if you go to some site, you click on a link, and it's a known malicious link, OpenDNS will instead redirect you to a page that says, hey, this web page is malicious. You shouldn't go there. And in fact, it actually won't let you go there. So they have a free version and they have a small business version. They have an enterprise version at different prices with different features. But it's really great because it is one layer in a multi-layer set of defenses. This is one that you set and forget. Once you set it, you don't have to worry about it. OpenDNS is constantly updating this list of malicious websites and will literally stop you from going there. And if you get the free version, it doesn't even cost you a dime.
I mean, what a deal. I mean, you can do this right now. You don't have to buy our program. You can go do this right now. And I urge you to do so ASAP. I mean, a lot of the security stuff that you need to do to build the right program really is pretty simple to do. It's not the big deal. It's a lot of little steps. There's a lot of little things you got to do, and you have to have the right mental framework. The leadership has got to have the right mental framework and be behind it 100%. And that's key to this whole thing. Okay, item number 13, 2 hours of one-on-one virtual Chief Information Security Officer, vCISO consulting. So with Mitch currently serves as the virtual CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, for about 30 of our clients. These are companies who pay us they can't hire a full-time Chief Information Security Officer, and they don't need a full-time. They don't need that help, but they need help occasionally. They need someone who can call. And many times to get the business of a bigger client, they have to have one on staff, but a virtual one meets that requirement. You get one as part of this program. You have a virtual Chief Information Security Officer as part of your company that you can call, and you get 2 hours as part of this program. You also get another 3 hours of implementation or technical support from us. It'll either be Mitch or me. I mean, you get more time from us as required when you need it, if you need it. It never runs out. You don't have to use it in particular time. And if you need more, you can buy it in very small blocks of time. I mean, that's part of your program. You get us as part of your team. I told you earlier, incident response plan could be for you, unplug the machines, call Ray and Mitch. I mean, okay, we're there for you. And then last but certainly not least, you get certified by us. Now, we're not going to put our name on just anything out there. I can tell you what, to get us to certify you, you got to do it all. You got to do all the stuff that we have on the checklist for you, but it's all doable. It's no big deal. It's doable, but you get that out there. And then when a client comes to your website, you have an edge. Certification benefits include you attract and retain security sensitive customers, which are increasing daily out there everywhere. You gain a competitive edge over security disadvantaged competitors. Yes, and it's great. You can start waving that flag around. We are paying attention to security around here. Look, we're even certified. We care about it around here. You reduce your risk and legal exposure, obviously. You increase insurability and possibly reduce cyber insurance premiums. Not always, can we guarantee that? Depends on who you're, but I would, if I'm buying cyber insurance, I will go out there and say, look what everything that I've done. Can I get a break on this? Ask them that question. And then you build a positive reputation with employees, clients, vendors, and regulators. And, and you're all about, Cybersecurity LLC, we're all about reputation. Your accounting practice, you're all about reputation. That's the reality. Okay, you attended this thing today. I've got your names. I've got all your names. If you want this program, we'll knock off $595. If you can pay it in 2 installments. You can just go to click that little button at the bottom of the page and pay $39.25 with your credit card. Goes through PayPal. We never see it. And then your second payment will invoice you after you get all the deliverables, after you've done all the stuff on it. It doesn't give you your certification. You still have to get no extra charge on that, but I'm not going to give you a certification just because I've delivered all this stuff. Once you've done it, you'll get the certification. We'll give the certification. Simple program, easy to do. That's who we are. I've got one more question coming in here. Oh, how does Apricorn work? Okay, well, I did talk about that once. Apricorn is that external hard drive. And you just plug it in. You just plug it into your computer. You type in the code that only you know, and then you just save all your data on that Apricorn. Go to apricorn.com. You can buy one for $200 over there, and you can have that in there. I'm sorry, we're past 11 o'clock here. I've run over the top. I apologize for that, running over. But we got pretty close. We did pretty good on that. If you have any other questions, just send it to us by email, and I've just got a couple of them coming. But I will answer those via email to you. Thanks again for attending. Let me know if you have any questions, if we can be of service to you at any time. Mitch, you have any final words?
Nope. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.